Okay, so I'm recording this after the stream because pretty much immediately after the stream ended, there was an event with FChamp where he made some cryptic comments about the MVC4 rumors that I feel like changed the plausibility of the rumors a little bit. He could just be trolling still. You know, it's sometimes hard to know with FChamp. A lot of the pros have been making troll tweets, so they like retweet the old patch tweet for MVCI and act like, ooh, there's something new coming. Look, they've announced it, but it was last year. So there's been a bit of trolling, so it's a bit hard to know with FChamp. But for me personally, I feel like it's changed it at least a little bit, just a little bit. You're now kind of stuck in that coin flip situation of is FChamp trolling or is FChamp leaking? Because he has leaked in the past, but I'll let you guys decide. I'll play the clip, see how you feel.
This is really what's going on with Marvel, okay? About the recent rumors, okay? I don't know how to say this without getting in trouble, but it's not gonna happen. Okay, I didn't say anything, you know? It's not gonna happen. That's why I've been playing a lot more Marvel lately, because nothing's gonna happen, okay?
Alright, cool. So, if you haven't heard, basically recently, one of the big rumor mongers of the FGC, Vergerben, I can't remember how, I don't know how his name is pronounced. It's probably a real word, and I just don't know how to pronounce it. Vergerben, we're gonna go with that. He leaks a ton of stuff, right? And for a while he's been saying, you know, there's gonna be more DLC for Infinite coming. There's gonna be more DLC for Marvel's Capcom Infinite coming. It's gonna be these Season 2 with 6 characters. It's gonna be great. But obviously nothing's actually come from that, right? But recently he's said that there's actually going to be a big rebranding of Marvel's Capcom Infinite. They're going to release Marvel's Capcom 4 as this Season 2. Like, you know, like an ultimate Marvel's Capcom style release, but they're calling it 4. Which, I think it's a bit odd, right? But he stuck to the same 6 characters that he's been saying would be coming for Season 2. Which, like, kind of indicates to me that he, like, trusts this source telling him about this Season 2, this Marvel's Capcom 4. And if you don't know anything about Vergerben, he's got kind of an exciting track record, right? Because he has, like, a few different sources. So sometimes he's, like, really on the mark, and other times he's totally off. So in the past, he's said things like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are going to be coming to Injustice, right? No one believed that. That was obvious horseshit. How could the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles be coming to Injustice? But sure enough, they did. He got Simon Belmont in Smash. He got Skullomania in SNK Heroines. Absolute nonsense, all of this stuff. And then he got the launch roster wrong for Soul Calibur 6. Like, not even a guest character stuff. It was just, like, the Soul Calibur series character that he got wrong. He said Zazalamel, or how his freaking his name is said. Said that guy was going to be DLC. And he wasn't. So, you can't 100% trust him, right? But he has got a lot of really wacky stuff in the past. And in addition, Combo Fiend is now working at Marvel Games. If you're new to the FGC, Combo Fiend is a really well-known OG pro. Played a lot of the Versus games, Capcom vs SNK 2 and probably Marvel's Capcom 3, the games he's most known for in terms of play. And he started working for Capcom and was on the Marvel's Capcom Infinite team. But then he left Capcom and now he's at Marvel Games, right? And Combo Fiend probably would try and get some stuff done while he's there. Like he was the producer on he was listed as a producer on the Spider-Man game that came out recently, which I haven't played yet, by the way. I'd like to play it, but I haven't. But yeah, so the 6 characters that he claims are coming are Star-Lord, Ms. Marvel, Gil from Street Fighter, Asura from Asura's Wrath, Lady from Devil May Cry, and Rashid from Street Fighter 5. Because the roster is currently imbalanced, right? There's one more Marvel character than there is Capcom characters. So they need to add more Capcom, which is kind of ridiculous. And he doesn't know anything more about it, right? He's just like, you know, it's coming. We don't know anything else. Presumably they'd be doing, like, you know, gameplay changes and stuff. And you'd hope adding the X-Men. You'd hope that they wouldn't try and do a big rebranding thing without adding the X-Men or Doctor Doom, but You never know. They might. Who knows what Capcom and Disney want. But anyway, prior to these rumors coming up, which is kind of recent, to be honest, I'd been talking a bunch about why I wanted a Capcom vs. Capcom, right? And people had said to me, like, you know, there's Dragonball FighterZ, why do you need a versus game right now then? And BB Tag as well, to a lesser extent, people have been saying, like, oh, you know, BB Tag is just a better Infinite. But I think, like, the differences between these types of games are, like, significant enough that, you know, they can easily coexist. Even if they weren't that significant, you know, it's not like there's ever been a problem with there being a wide variety in the FGC in terms of games. It's not like it's ever ever really hurt tournaments or anything, there being a wide variety. So to try and sum up differences, I feel like the main way I'd say it, the difference between Dragonball FighterZ and Marvel's Capcom 3 specifically here, because Infinite gets all wacky, is that the characters in Dragon Ball are kind of designed towards balancing, right? And the characters in Marvel are kind of designed towards being unique. And these are both perfectly fine ways of designing a game. They both get different results. King of Fighters is another game I love that's kind of done for the balanced design way. So obviously if you go with the, like, if we look at, say, Goku in Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? So Goku's split into 3 characters, not counting Black. Black's not a Goku. If I hear any of you say that shit, banning you. So each of the Gokus has, like, 4 specials, I think, and then, like, you know, 2 supers each. Well, Super Saiyan Goku's got 3, but beside the point. And they have a lot of, like, shared moves between them. So 2 of them have a command grab, or 2 of them have a Kamehameha, 2 of them have an elbow move. It works a bit differently, those 2, but you get the point. But if you combine all 3 of those Gokus into one character, you don't even use, like, transformations to separate the moves or anything. If you just combine all of them and give them all the special moves at the same time, you still end up with a character that has, like, a third of the special moves that Dante in Marvel's Capcom 3 has. So that Goku could easily, that merged Goku could easily exist in a Marvel game, right? Same thing with Vegeta. You put Vegeta, all the Vegetas together, you get a character that can pretty easily exist in Marvel. And obviously, if you start doing this, you end up with more complicated characters, characters that are harder to balance, characters that are hard to make other characters keep up with, you know? Like, how do you make a Krillin that has enough specials to keep up with this merged Goku, right? And that's kind of like the main dilemma between these different design strategies. One is going to be harder to balance and harder for new people to pick up, and the other is going to, you know, have more unique characters. And like in Marvel's Capcom 3, there's not even like shared movement options between the cast, right? Some characters don't have an air dash, some characters have a standard back and forward air dash, some characters have unique air dashes, like Chun's goes at a kind of a slanty angle. It's the other way, like that, sorry. Down 40. And then there's characters who can air dash in all 8 directions, right? So like every character is trying their absolute hardest to stand out from every other character in this game, right? And obviously that's going to create absolute balance nightmares. You can't have an easy walk speeds as well. There's absurd differences in walk speeds, and not even every character has the same type of ground dash. So like if you dash in Marvel's Capcom 3, and you can cancel it with a crouch, right? And that's wave dashing. You dash, crouch, dash, crouch, dash, crouch. And not everyone can even do that because they've got like a little hop dash, like Doctor Doom can't, Hulk can't because they hop. And you can move at the beginning of the round in Marvel's Capcom, which means these different walk speeds are really, really noticeable there. And yeah, this is balance nightmare, absolute balance nightmare. You look at the history of the Marvel's Capcom series, it's very frequently just absolutely fucked in terms of tiers. But even when it is totally fucked, as long as there's not like 2 characters that just stand above the rest, right? You can still have like relatively diverse like top 16s, you know, because if you look at like the mid tier in Marvel's Capcom 3, you can be like, all right, what does MODOK do that the top tiers don't? You know, he's got his cool hover, he's got this unique movement, he's got the ability to reverse the opponent's controls, which is fucked to deal with. So you can kind of justify to yourself why you want to play MODOK over a top tier, you know. And I feel like in the more balanced approach games, it's harder to do that. So earlier this year with Dragon Ball FighterZ, pre-nerf Adult Gohan or pre-nerf Cell, it's a lot harder to justify why you want to play your mid-tier character with one of those. So like Super Saiyan Blue Goku, you compare him to Bardock, it really doesn't look very favorable for Super Saiyan Blue Goku, right? He's got a worse assist, he's still got the same forward moving special thing, but it's shorter. All these, they're very similar characters because they both don't have like, you know, good projectile options. They both want to go in and do stuff. But Bardock just kind of does it all better, except he doesn't have a gimmicky teleport and a really short range command grab. So it gets harder for those characters to show up, you know. So that's the main reason I prefer the more unique character design. You know, it makes you want to play more characters. Basically, is how I feel about it. Marvel's Capcom 3 also has really unique assists, whereas Dragon Ball FighterZ less so. Again, for balance reasons. So, you know, there's really only like two. I guess you can also count Yamcha here, but I'd say like assists that stand out in Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's basically like Kid Buu, Gotenks, Yamcha in terms of like you can't really replace these with a different assist. You know, it's like Android 16 is like pretty redundant with like base Goku. You just never pick base Goku because he's just worse as a character than Android 16. And like there's the beams, they're there. So there's like clumps of assists, you know. Whereas in Marvel's Capcom 3, you've got Dr. Doom's hidden missiles. It's a notorious one. You've probably heard of it. Dr. Doom comes out, clicks his fingers a bit, some missiles go up, and then they come back down, homing on your opponent. And that gives you massive screen control. It's kind of broken, but you could nerf it while keeping the uniqueness, right? And then you got like Dante's Jam Session. If you play Devil May Cry 3, it's him playing Nirvana. Big. It controls the entire vertical axis, right? Strider's Vajra, he teleports, does a dive kick that tracks in on your opponent, which I think they should do for Super Saiyan Blue Goku, by the way. Make his assist an instant transmission dive kick, not just his current dive kick, where he just jumps up slowly and does it. Make him instant transmission and dive kick above the opponent. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of wild assists in Marvel's Capcom 3, which also helps the diversity because, well, in a way. It's amazing how bad Vegeta assist is comparative to Marvel. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I can probably turn the chat box on back now, sorry. Yeah. Well, Vegeta assist, I guess, is just like better Cold Star in a way, but Cold Star also stopped seeing play. Cold Star being Amaterasu's best assist. And it's obviously Dr. Doom assist being nuts, you know, kind of centralizes the meta around Dr. Doom. But having the wild variety of assists lets you go, you know, alright, so I want to play these characters, this is their game plan. What's a really strong, unique assist that'll help me in that game plan, you know? Whereas in Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's pretty much the same assists that help every character, because there aren't, like, wild, wacky ones. But you can't just add wild, wacky ones to a few characters, you know, you'd have to add it to a few, or you centralize the meta there as well. So yeah, that's really the main reason I prefer the Marvel way of designing characters. There's nothing wrong with either. Like I said, I play King of Fighters a lot. That also goes for the like make strong universal mechanics and then build a character within that mold. Which is, yeah, it's fun, easier to balance. You don't end up with nonsense that much, and yeah, but it's just not as wild, you know? I don't know how long I can entertain myself with the characters feeling kind of samey, you know? But a lot of the DLC characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ were going more towards the wacky end, so we'll see how it goes going into the future. Presumably they will never reach, hopefully they never reach Marvel levels of wackiness. I want there to be two separate games, you know, for two different types of people. But they can definitely go wilder. Something else that amazed me, difference-wise, is Install Supers. So Install Supers in a fighting game, they're named after Dragon Install from Guilty Gear. They're a power-up super where you spend some meter, your character gets stronger for a bit. So the only one in Dragon Ball FighterZ is Golden Frieza. And that really shocked me because, you know, Dragon Ball is a series all about transformations and power-ups. There's tons of them. There's tons of them. Like, everyone was expecting base Goku to have Kaioken as an install, so you'd spend the bar, you'd get that red Kaioken aura around Goku, and he'd, like, start losing life but get faster or something. And he didn't, he just got it as a Rekka super. Same thing with Super Saiyan Blue Goku. I was expecting him to have Kaioken as an install, way before base Goku was announced, obviously. You could have had Super Saiyan Goku have Super Saiyan 3 as an install. There's a ton of possible transformations in Dragon Ball you could have had in installs. But installs, like, they quite rapidly up the complexity of a character, right? Because you gotta meter manage now. You gotta think, when do I want to use this install? What do I want to do in the install? Because in Dragon Ball FighterZ in general, you only spend meter when you're trying to kill a character or when you're vanishing. So you don't have to think as much about meter, but Golden Frieza kind of adds complexity to that, as do, like, you know, the other utility supers do as well, but not quite as much, I think. Like, Zamasu Blades of Judgment and Piccolo's Hell's Grenade, you kind of only do them when a character's, like, bleeding and you want to just finish them off. But, like, Marvel's Capcom 3 has a ton of installs. And that's another reason why I expected Dragon Ball to have so many, because, like, a Dragon Ball game, there's transformations in Dragon Ball, it's inspired by the Marvel's Capcom series, it's gonna have tons of transformations, right? But, alas. But, like, Marvel has, like, Devil Trigger on Dante and Virgil. So, to quickly add how wild Virgil's is, Virgil doesn't normally have any air movement, right? He doesn't have an air dash or anything. But Devil Trigger gives him an air dash and a double jump. So, that's kind of like that Golden Frieza getting a second air dash level of wackiness there. Yeah, Shadow Form Zero is a good one. Zero gains, like, mirror images behind him. There's Astral Vision Morrigan, where she gets, like, a clone behind the opponent. You've probably seen that one. Lets you fill the screen with shit. Gold Armor Arthur, there you go. That's a direct comparison to Golden Frieza. He's gold. And also, when the armor runs out, it breaks and he gets knocked down. Same way Golden Frieza collapses. It's perfect. Yeah, Gold Armor Arthur is a really cool one because the character's, like, really designed around it, you know? They really want you to be, like, this high-risk, high-reward install-y character. There's some other good ones. Stone Firebrand doesn't see that much use, really, I think. But it's cool. It's like a big speed-up. Wolverine has the similar one. Which is why people were calling Firebrand, like, the aerial Wolverine for a while before release. Before Apology Man and other people broke him. Yeah. There's a long list. If you go further back even, you get Marvel's Capcom 2 Mecha Zangief, where Zangief loses the ability to block, but he gains hyper armor. So he becomes like a boss character in older fighting games where you just walk through moves and then punch the opponent. That one wasn't very good, but it's an example. Yeah, Denjin Install Ryu, where it feels like you spend a bar to become like Rainbow Edition Ryu. That one's great. I was always surprised they didn't add like a Shin Akuma, actually. You know, like spend a bar and he like breaks his necklace off and becomes, you know, Super Saiyan Akuma. That would have been cool. But they never did it. Don't know why. And then Ryu lost Denjin in Marvel's Capcom Infinite, actually. That one really surprised me. I don't know why they took it from him. Most of the characters in Infinite gain like lots of cool new moves, and then Ryu just loses one. Or whatever. Yeah, so the reason I want Capcom vs. Capcom, as I mentioned earlier, is that I feel like going forward there's problems working with Marvel in terms of making a fighting game, right? Because I think the first main problem is that Marvel is huge now. Yeah, in MVC1 Ryu could change into the other Shotos. But yeah, the Marvel's huge, right? Marvel, when the Marvel's Capcom series first started, you know, comics weren't doing so great at the time. That's why Fox had the X-Men rights and everything like that. So there weren't that many like big name characters you had to have in a Marvel's Capcom game. But now the MCU is enormous, right? There's so many characters that have their own fucking movie in the MCU. And you can't just cut these characters, you know? You look at the Infinite roster and you go, well, that's a bit boring. And you're right, it is a bit boring. But, like, who do you cut? There's like 4 characters in that game that don't have their own movie, you know? And you can't just fill that roster with X-Men then, because, like, which of those Marvel characters are you meant to cut? You know? After those 4. You can probably cut Nova and Ghost Rider, as sad as that would be. But that only gets you, like, Wolverine and Deadpool. You know, you haven't even got Magneto at that point. So I feel like it's probably best, as much as it hurts me to say this, if the series separate and you have like a Marvel fighting game and a Capcom fighting game. Just because, you know, doubling the roster size essentially, in terms of how many Marvel characters you can fit in, lets you fit in like Ant-Man and Loki. You know? You don't even have to go into X-Men at that point. You know, there's still fucking big name movie characters that didn't get in. Cut Gamora? Nah, Gamora was cool. I liked how she played. And also, Disney have kind of shown in the past that they're not that easy to work with for game companies. Like, even if you double the roster size, I feel like there's a lot of old in the older Marvel's Capcom games. There's a lot of like niche choices that Disney would never have allowed. Like Shumagarath, who also has a really unique assist, by the way. It's like an I-beam that goes in an arc and covers the screen. He would never have got in. There's like B-tier villains of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that Disney would have let in before Shuma-Gorath. But Capcom really like those wacky characters, you know? That lets them put in... You can like come up with a wacky moveset for these types of games and be like, alright, let's go look through for a niche character who fits this type of moveset. Which I think is how we kind of ended up with Shuma-Gorath. Because they were looking through like an old Marvel guidebook and found like a footnote on Shuma-Gorath, I believe is the story for Marvel's Capcom 1. And yeah, that's how we got Shuma-Gorath. And if Capcom's working only with Capcom characters, that's a lot easier to do. Because if you look at like Street Fighter V, where it's getting the old Capcom game costumes right now, or not old, but just Capcom crossover costumes, there's a lot of like wacky choices that I think really show that Capcom still remember their old games. Like Cammy got a Haunting Grounds costume. Haunting Grounds being like a spin-off of the Clock Tower series. It's a bit niche. You probably haven't heard of it. And like Chun got a Star Gladiators costume. One of the old Capcom fighting games that never went anywhere when they were doing a whole bunch of them. It's like a Star Wars type game where there's like lightsabers and stuff. I don't really know how it didn't take off, to be honest. Hayato in Marvel's Capcom 2 is from Star Gladiator, if you know him. Maybe Capcom vs. Capcom will give us a good Jill. I don't know why they went with Resident Evil 5 Jill in Marvel's Capcom 3. What were they thinking? People don't even like Resident Evil 5 to begin with. Why go with the wacky redesign Jill that like people wouldn't like? She had a cool moveset, I guess. Beast Install. Jill has a move called Beast Install that gives her, like, cool zoop-zoopy movement. It's a level 3, actually, that one, so that's a more exciting install example. I can't remember what it's actually called. People just call it Beast Mode. Yeah, so I did a bit of wish listing myself. Whoa, I think, like... Hang on. My 360 pad was still plugged in and was messing with my computer. Yeah, it gave her a teleport dash on everything, which was really cool.